Hi, I'm Willie. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. And what we're going to look at in this video is Grandstream's brand new router offerings. Now, this new series of routers, they released originally in two flavors. They released the GWN7062E and the GWN7062ET. And the difference between the two, I have the ET here, and you can't really see it, but the Grandstream logo's down here. We're going to have an LED light up here. The difference between this router and the non-ET version, the E version, is that if I'm a service provider, some other provider, and I want to provide home phone services, the ET actually has two FXS ports built in. Back here we can see our gigabit Ethernet ports. We've got a USB 3. There's the mesh pairing button, factory default, and over here's for your power barrel. On the bottom it's got rubber feet. It's got the wall mounting so you can mount this. And it's just a sleek looking little set of routers. Very aesthetically pleasing. You could hide these in a kitchen, in a front room, in a den. And you can mesh these together. Now, I heard someone say that you might be able to mesh them with standard Grandstream access points. But I don't know about that yet. We're going to have to test that out. But before we get into looking at the interface on this, I want to hop over to the spec page so that we can take a look at this. So the GWN7062E and ET are Wi-Fi 6 routers. They have a dual core 1.3 processor, 1.3 gigahertz. They are Wi-Fi 6, so you get Wi-Fi aggregate speeds of up to 3 gigabits for 128 concurrent devices, ideal for small to medium businesses and home networks. So the ET, like I said, has the two FXS ports to provide telephone access. These are dual band. On the 2.4 it's 2x2x2. On the 5G is 3x3x2. And this does have beam forming built into it. Built-in VPN support allows easy access to corporate networks for remote employees. You can provision it through GDMS. You can also, if you have GDM manager running on-prem, you can manage it with that. We're going to take a look at this interface and how they've done things a little bit differently. Right here, though, it says supports mesh networking with Grandstream Wi-Fi points. So I'm not sure if they're calling these other routers Wi-Fi points or what. Let's take a look at the official data sheet here. You're really going to see what they've done when we get into the web UI. And by default, this is going to be on the 192.168.80 subnet on the LAN. It will auto-detect, though, which port you plug the internet into, which is kind of nice. And you can change the subnet. It doesn't have to stay there. But it is Wi-Fi 6. Let's see if there's anything else. You can have 4 SSIDs on this. And like I said, these are really kind of meant for, they're not meant for large deployments. A small home or a home that needs multiple devices providing Wi-Fi, and you're not going to get, too crazy. And the price point on this router with the FXS ports, you can pick this up for $79. You can pick up the non-FXS model for $40 right now. And when you see the interface, I think it's worth more than $40. But so it does have a VPN wizard, so you can do OpenVPN, WireGuard, IPsec, all those good things. And in the box, you do get a quick start guide. You get an Ethernet cable, you get some mounting screws, you get the power brick, and you get the router. So what I'm going to do now to show this to you is I'm going to go ahead and plug it in back here, and then we're going to plug it into this machine, and we're going to bring up the interface. Now, one thing I want to mention is if there was a very small amount of these, they got shipped with a really old firmware, and I'm talking pre 1.0 firmware. We'll look at where we're at on the firmware. But if you got one of those units, you will have to join this to GDMS to do the upgrade. Otherwise, you're going to get errors. Now, if you're on a 1.0 or one that they have available for download, you don't have to worry about that. And it was a very small number of these that the distributors did not upgrade. So you'll just have to watch out for that. Mine was like on 0.0.0.10 or something like that. And every time I tried to upgrade the firmware, I was getting, oh, the file's too big, right? It didn't want to handle that large file. I joined it to GDMS. GDMS did all the steps to upgrade it, and I'm actually running the beta on this. But I'm going to go ahead and pause this real quick. We're going to get this fired up, and we'll be right back. Real quick, this is booting. It's got a green light right here, so your LED is up here. The Grandstream logo is down here. My white balance is off. But once this gets booted, it will have a blue LED up here at the top. When it's unconfigured, it is not green or blue. I think it was purple. Maybe it was green. I can't remember. I've been playing around with this for a couple weeks, trying to make sure that I really like it. And I will tell you, I do really like these. And I think if you're looking for a home router or a small office router where you only need one network and you're not doing all the things that we need, a lot of it's not complicated configuration, but more advanced configuration. Yeah, you can see, I don't think you can see this, but that's blue now. So I think for the price, you can't beat these things. So we're going to hop into the interface and take a look. Hold on. All right, so here we are at the logon screen. It is the default 192.168.80 network. And you can see the devices here. We're going to go ahead and sign in. You can also manage this with the GWN app. Now, this is the network map when you log in, so it shows us how many clients we have connected to the device. This is the default Wi-Fi network that is broadcasting on here. And you can't disable the default. You can change it, but you can't disable it. That was one thing. I'm sure they'll change that in an update. So we got our network map. Our default Wi-Fi is that's probably part of the MAC address if I had to guess. Well, we can go to router. Yeah, we can go to router information. And you can see I'm on 1.0.1.13, which was not the case when I got this. But like I said, joined it to GDMS, told it to upgrade to the latest. Life has been good ever since. So if you run into that where you get a really old firmware on one of these and you can't upgrade it, that is a quick fix. And then you can see here, shows net 1 is connected. There's net 2. Of course, FXS1 and net 3 are not connected. Here under traffic statistics, we're going to be able to break down, what apps people are going to. That'll give us some information here about what's going on. Now, the QoS I really like because we can come in here, we can set our WAN upload and download, right? So I've got gigabit internally. Turn on QoS, and here we've got priority surfing mode that's going to auto take care of QoS down below. So we can say make gaming the priority, make video the priority, make web surfing the priority, or just do it auto. So I don't know what auto is, if it's fair queue or not, but I really like that they simplified this. Now under home care, this is where you can start managing your clients. So you can see I've got my main PC, and down here I can edit this, and I can come in to each client and I can say this is how much internet they can use, and it defines school nights as Sunday to Thursday, so I can block the internet at that time, and I can do it here on the weekends. The other thing that I can do is I can say, okay, you can use the internet whenever you want, but Monday to Friday you can only use it for this many hours, this many minutes. On the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, you only get to use it this much time, and the router handles all that. Then I can come in here and I can do app blocking, right? So I can actually come in and block all these different games. I think there was Nintendo. Yeah, Nintendo Network. So I can block Nintendo, which would really upset a lot of people. And you can, if you keep scrolling, you can see they just have, there's Xbox. So I can block just Xbox. That's just the gaming section, right? So you can come in here, come in and start blocking social things or entertainment things, voice over IP things that you don't want. I don't know. It doesn't look like it's got just SIP, but it's got skinny, which is hilarious because um, that is not Grandstream voice over IP. You've got all these different things that you can block. I think it's fantastic. Then the other thing you can do is you can come in here and you can block adult, mixed adult, lingerie, sex edge, aggressiveness. You can just keep blocking all the things you want from these clients. And then you can add custom URLs to block. Now, if you don't have a managed client, you can say block the internet from unmanaged clients. Now, once you have one set up the way you want, you can just copy this configuration to another PC. So you could kind of set one, or device, doesn't have to be a PC. You can kind of set one of these up and copy the settings. So we can edit this, we can delete it, we can do a one-click disconnect the internet. Then under security firewall, it's got basic protection turned on. I haven't had anything triggered in here yet. Then on cloud, you can see that I am connected to GDMS because I had that old version of firmware you're going to keep hearing me talk about, and I had to let it do the upgrade to get to this latest version. But they've done a really good job of really making this UI very sleek, very easy to use. All right, under advanced, here we go. Of course, Grandstream is adding the search to all of their devices, all of their UIs, so you can search for a setting here if you want. But here's our overview. So we can see all of the traffic, all the clients, where they're going to. You get a really nice, clean snapshot of what's going on. Here's our system info. You can see I'm on that 1.0.1.13. Down here it tells us about our uptime, our CPU, and memory usage. Under internet settings, we can change these different LANs. So if I need another WAN, I can make Net3 a WAN port, or I can make it a LAN port. I can do the same thing with Net2. So you wouldn't be able to do anything else if it had let us do 3 WANs on here, but you can definitely at least have 2 WANs. So you can have a primary and you can have a failover. I'm going to cancel these. Go back here. And so down here under WAN 1, you can see we can do dynamic, static, PPPoE, or we can do L2TP or PPTP. And then we could do static DNS if we want. Right now I'm just using DHCP. And you can change the MAC address of the WAN port if you need to, which sometimes comes in handy. Here we can change that LAN subnet. Now you can see here that the biggest subnet mask that we can do is an entire Class B. Don't do that. Use an appropriate size subnet mask. It's just don't use a whole Class B. Class C, even in most places, is probably going to be too big, but it's default and it does work. Here we've got our DHCP server set up, and we are letting the gateway handle the DNS. So it's going to hand itself out as the gateway and as the DNS. So everything is going to go through this box so that our app filtering works and that our URL blocking works. Triple play, if you live in a place where your ISP delivers TV, VoIP, and internet all over the WAN port, you can come in here and do the triple play setup. It's not as common in my area or in a lot of the places in the US, but it is very common in other parts of the world. Here we can do policy routing. So if we've got multiple WANs, we can go ahead and do policy routes based on the WAN. So we can send clients out through certain WAN ports all the time, or we can do domains. All right, here's what you've been waiting for when it comes to telephony. So right here on the main setup, we can allow DHCP option 120 to override registration. We are not going to do that. But if we come down here to FXS, you can see, if you are familiar with ATAs, that this is going to look pretty much like that, except you don't get as many options with this as you do one of the standard ATAs. But you could have definitely 2 SIP accounts from 2 different providers or from the same provider, and you can configure it, and you can hook an analog phone into those, and you are going to have phone service. So I can really see this being really advantageous for service providers, so that they can manage this via GDMS or their own GWN manager, but then they can also provide those voice services. Here under Wi-Fi, this is where we can add more of those SSIDs. We can enable a captive portal. We can disable the Wi-Fi regularly, automatically, so we've got scheduling built in. Under general settings, we can come in here and change the channel width and the power. You can also do dynamic optimization if you so wish. Like I said, you can't disable this default one, but you can rename it. And then there's to share the Wi-Fi, you can actually print these QR codes, or you can just give away the user or the Wi-Fi name and the password. You can also download that QR code. Pretty slick. Now here is the mesh node. So if we clicked add here, it would tell us how to do this on the router. And so this is why I think it's got to be these other routers. I think it has to be, I don't think it's going to work with standard APs. But if somebody knows something I don't about that, let me know down below. Here we get, under clients, we get a full look-see of all the clients on the network. Here we can do a DHCP reservation. We've got our details, and of course, we can edit the name of the client there. Now under traffic management, this is where we can get our traffic stats, how much traffic's being sent where and by who. And then QoS here, we can come in and we can manually tweak the QoS. So those QoS options that we saw under the really nice, sleek UI, which this is actually really nice and sleek, but we can come in here and you can see that like VoIP is always going to get priority 1. Gaming is going to get priority 0. Entertainment's going to get priority 2. And you can change these manually. You can also come in here and set up manual QoS rules. And then under the basic settings here, this is kind of that other screen that we were looking at. It transferred our WAN speed. And then this is where we can look at our DSCPs and guarantee the bandwidth there. Very powerful QoS settings. Under NAT, we can do some standard port forwarding. We've got DDNS on here. Right now, we only get no IP or DNS. I'm hoping in an update that we will get more providers, but right now, no IP you can do for free. You do have to use one of their host names unless you pay for it. Then you can use one of your own fully qualified domain names. Universal plug and play, which you know I'm not a fan of. And then it has a DMZ where it's going to fully expose a designated device to the internet. Under security, we've got the security firewalls. And you can see that we've got the basic security turned on. You saw that earlier where we hadn't blocked anything. And then we have content security detection turned on. Here's our defense statistics. And you will be able to export those, which is kind of nice. Under content control, this is where we can block custom URLs here. Here's our URL classification, and this updates from Grandstream. And right here you can see under adult there's almost 94,000 URLs. And so you can come in here and you can allow or you can block right here. And then here's our app filtering, the number of apps that we have, 2,531. You can come in and block single apps. You can block all the apps. I saw Mario Kart up there. I hope whoever's configuring this router doesn't block that. So you can really see where they are making this easy for you to control your network. Block list here, so you can block MAC addresses from connecting to the network. Now, obviously, if you have someone who knows how to turn on randomized MAC addresses, then we have to hit this from a different angle. All right, so here is the VPN, and right here you can see that there's only one VPN service supported at a time. I don't know what you would expect out of a $40 router with such a beautiful interface and such good security features. I'm not mad that there's only one VPN service supported. And right here they have this VPN wizard that you can walk through, so we can do WireGuard here. We could do IPsec, or we could do Open VPN, and this wizard just walks you right through it. It takes about 2 minutes and you're done. And it probably takes longer to configure the clients than it does the VPN server these days. The device does support IPv6 on the WAN and the LAN. If IPv6 is something you want to see us start diving into, let me know down below. Here's our captive portal setup, as all Grandstream access points have. So I'm not going to go back over this. Under maintenance, we've got the upgrade, and you can see right here we're on the 1.0.1.13, which is the latest beta. You can upgrade by uploading a file, or you can do detect new version and let it automatically upgrade. We can backup, restore, or factory reset. We've got some diagnostics that are available to us here. So here's our logs. We can do ping, traceroute, one-click debug. We can enable SSH. We can do link tracking and signaling diagnosis if you're having problems with your FXS ports. Under intelligent detection, you can click this, and it's going to kind of give you a snapshot of how it believes everything is working. And if there's anything that it thinks that you need to touch on, it's going to tell us here. So you can see our security protection is excellent, network connectivity is excellent. We got an excellent. If we didn't get an excellent, it would tell us what the issue was, and then we could go take care of that. TR069 for service providers right here if you're into that. And under system, we've got basic settings. So our time zone, the country, NTP, our LED, we can have it always on, always off, or disable. So we can do it, you know, like a nighttime where it's not on after 8, comes on at 10 in the morning. And then we can do a reboot schedule here. And then under access management, we can change the admin password. We can create a user, and the username is user. We can do access control, so we can allow access to this through the WAN. I don't recommend doing that. We've got manager settings if we want to join it to GDMS manager. And then we've got passwordless remote access. So if we are bound to GDMS and we want someone to get in here, we can give them access to GDMS to this device, not give them our admin password, but they can still get in and take a look around. I got to tell you, I've been using this for a few days, almost 2 weeks, and I absolutely love what they're doing with this. The price point, it really can't be beat. And it kind of resonates with how Grandstream is rethinking networking and how to make it affordable and very easy to use. I think I'm going to have to ask for, or I'm going to have to pick up a second one of these units so that we can do a mesh setup so you can see that. But is there anything you want to see me do? I'm going to do another video where we do some speed tests, some security blocking and things like that. But if there's anything else that you want to see, let me know in the comments down below. What do you think about this router? I think for $79 if I'm a service provider, or if I'm not using FXS ports for $40, I don't know how even to just run it for 6 months as a test. I don't know how you go wrong with that price. It's been working pretty flawlessly since I've been using it. I had the issue with the firmware, but they sent me a really early version. And like I said, a small amount of those didn't get upgraded. So if you run into that, GDMS is the ticket. But I am super happy with this device, and I can't wait to see if they take this UI and put it on the other routers, because I think this UI is the way to go outside of the GCC series, right? So any of the GWN routers, I think this is the way to go. And if they wanted to soften the GCC interfaces and make it like this, I wouldn't complain. But I really think that the value for the price is here. And I think you all need to keep an eye on Grandstream. And we'll do another video where we test some of the app blocking, some of the content filtering, where we do speed tests and things like that. If there's anything else you want to see, let me know down below. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, share. Follow me on Twitter and TikTok. Those links are down below, along with affiliate links, Patreon link. And if you need IT consulting, head on over to williehowe.com. Fill out the contact page that's on the front porch. Fill out the contact page. Fill out the contact form that's on the front page, and someone will be in touch with you as soon as possible. If you want to talk about this and other technology related items, head on over to community.williehowe.com. Sign up and start chatting today. Once again, I'm Willie. I want to thank you for being here. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.